To start Vessel of Hatred, you are going to create your character on normal. That is going to enable you to speedrun through the campaign as fast as possible, as this time around we do actually have to do the campaign just like we did when the game actually launched. So there is not going to be any Helltide shenanigans for your first playthrough. That is going to be available after you have done the campaign first with your first character. So there you go, created on normal. We don't really care about any of the increased experience because we are actually not killing that many monsters during the campaign, and we actually get passively a lot of experience. That is not going to help with the higher difficulties. You would just waste your time. Then it's very important to equip your auto pickup pet from the inventory. This time around, you don't actually need to go to the wardrobe itself. It is actually baked into the inventory menu, so that is a very good quality of life addition. And if you are a Spiritborn, as soon as you have access to Nahantu, what you're going to do is you're going to collect your main skills codex of power aspect, and you're also going to clear the Seething Underpass for the aspect of haste. Both of these aspects are going to make it so that your campaign experience is going to be phenomenal in terms of the DPS output. If you want, you can also go and get the Voracious aspect, which is in turn also going to increase the amount of resource that you're going to get back whenever you kill an enemy with your main attack. But obviously this also applies for all of the other characters. So if you decide to play a Necro or something else, for example, check out the leveling build guides on Maxroll, take the leveling build, and there are recommendations for the aspects that you should have to go into the campaign to make it that much faster. Now, on the way to the aspects, you are going to encounter the Realm Walker, hopefully, on the map. Definitely stop whatever you are doing and go do the Realm Walker. Here it's extremely important to yoink the Seething Opal and then actually go into the realm that the Realm Walker is carrying on his back to be able to get access to the Seething Opal. We want the Seething Opal because the 15% experience multiplier that the Seething Opal provides is actually stackable with an elixir and also with an incense. So you are going to get a lot of experience this way, and you're also starting to accumulate some items. So ideally you should go for materials in the Seething Realm or gear. Then you are blasting the campaign until around level 35 or so. We're going to do that because we want to complete strongholds. These strongholds are going to be linked in the document. I'm not going to go through all of those. These are going to be extremely efficient strongholds that are going to give you a lot of experience, so like 1.25% of a level. So you are quickly going to blast through those. It's maybe going to take like 20 minutes with all the traveling involved, and then you go back to the campaign to actually finish what you started. Now, when the campaign is finished, you will not be level 60 yet, but you are getting actually pretty close. The next step in your progression here is going to be that you are going to unlock the reputation board so that you can start earning reputation for the Zaka room guys and actually start working on a lot of the rewards that become available as soon as you start gaining ranks with the Zaka room. As soon as that's done, we are off to the Realm Walker again, because to actually be able to earn the Zaka room experience, or reputation rather, you actually need to have a Seething Opal active. This means that we not only want it for the experience, but we also want it to actually unlock the ability to gain reputation with the Zaka room. So this is going to be your next target, and then you actually have a priority quest called Deeds of a Champion in your quest log, which is going to give you quite a lot of objectives. It's going to throw you around the world, a little bit of Helltide, a little bit of strongholds that you actually have completed already, and these are giving you massive rewards in terms of experience. So this is going to be an absolute fast track to level 60. And now it's time to actually have an eye out on Nahantu whispers. We are looking for those whispers in particular because we need to finish the renown, and what we're going to do is we're going to finish it passively. So we're not actually going to waste our time going to finish it and target renown activities. Instead, we are going to passively accumulate the renown while doing the whispers every time we do have something come up. So for example, if you see a whisper that is in an area that you haven't discovered yet, which is also maybe close to a waypoint, that's exactly what I want you to do. This is going to make it much more efficient because not only you are getting rewards through the whispers, but you are also completing your renown along the way. That's especially important because the 1 skill point and the 4 paragon points that you get from the renown in Hantu are not really that game breaking. Sure, they are quite a lot of character power, but they are not going to make or break your build, especially because you're currently not even pushing the pit, so it does not matter. Currently, we are trying to focus on the activities that are going to give you the most character power available to you in the shortest amount of time, and renown is just not that. So what we're going to do instead is actually going to do nightmare dungeons, because as soon as you are level 60, all of the loot that you will find is 750 item level, which is the highest item level you can find before actually finding ancestral items. So this is going to be a very easy shortcut to make your character extremely powerful. So fill up your character slot, your item slots with 750 item power in nightmare dungeons, because you also want to gather Optosite so that you can start masterworking maybe an ancestral item that you find along the way, and also prepare some masterworking materials for the next gear sets that you are going to find. In addition to that, you should definitely check your materials versus your gold income. Here it is extremely important to kind of like balance it out so you don't bottleneck yourself either with materials or gold. So at this point, when you're starting to farm the nightmare dungeons, so especially here, it's very important to keep an eye out on your materials and gold and see the ratio here, and then decide if you want to rather salvage currently if you are lacking materials, or if you want to start selling items because you're currently low on gold. So that's a call for you guys to make, depending on how your character currently looks like in terms of the materials and the gold you have. Definitely pay attention to it, because that can tremendously slow you down if you bottleneck on either of those two things. At this point, you should be powerful enough to start clearing up until pit tier 20, and this is going to actually allow you to enter Torment. This is where you are going to start using your obols to gamble some items and gamble on basically your worst item slots. Maybe you have not 750 items in one of the slots, or maybe you are extremely unhappy with one of your slots in terms of the stat that it has. So that one is the one that you should go for first when it comes to gambling. Very important here though, if you have a unique that kind of like enables your build, you should basically do that before you go and clear the pit tier 20, because the unique rate from the obol vendor is actually insane, and it's extremely easy to get a good unique early on. Next up, it's up to you to find a comfortable tier in the pit to level all your glyphs to level 15. This is going to give you an immense power boost because of the multiplicative damage that you are going to unlock, and also the glyph levels give you quite a lot of additive damage all summed together. So definitely make sure that you are probably farming like 15 or 20 pits, something like that, so you can actually go through it fairly quickly, but always have the 100% success chance, or maybe even have a increased success chance so that you get +2 or +3 on your level 1, 2, 3 glyphs, for example. That's up to you to find that sweet spot. You should be running through that in like 2 to 3 to 4 minutes. And yeah, the calculation is pretty easy. Time versus the glyph levels that you can get. In terms of glyph leveling, it's extremely important to level 1 glyph to level 15 first, and then start worrying about the next ones, because in this way, you are going to actually increase your character's power the fastest, whereas you shouldn't really go and level them all up at the same time. That doesn't make that much sense, because you are actually getting so much more when they start getting level 15 than if all of them are level 2, 3, 4, or 5, for example. So definitely focus on one of them, which has the biggest multiplier for your current build, and blast that to 15, and then you should already be able to maybe bump up your pit tier that you've been farming by 2 tiers or so, which is in turn going to decrease the time that you need to level up the other glyphs. At this point, you have all your glyphs at level 15, and you can start working on that pit 35 tier, which is going to unlock the Torment 2 for you, and then you are also going to be able to farm Optusite in Nightmare Dungeons or Kurust Undercity if you have gotten lucky to get the Optusite tribute. This is where the progression is going to slow down a little bit, because you actually now need to farm some Optusite, you need to farm some better gear. Maybe you find 1 or 2 ancestral items, and you can actually start making and finalizing your build, kind of like getting into the mid to late game stages of your build. And that obviously requires a little bit more effort in terms of the upgrading with the Optusite. So definitely make sure to also run the Nightmare Dungeons a couple of times. And again, if you have the Optusite tribute for Kurust Undercity available, definitely do that, because that is going to be very much worth your time. Else you just go and focus on the Nightmare Dungeons to beef up your character, and then start working on the clear for the pit tier 50. It is definitely going to help you quite a lot to also level up your glyph in the pit a little bit before you go for that push. So maybe raise 1 or 2 of them up to like level 30 or so you can actually cash in on a little bit more additive damage. But the ideal way would be to just beef up your character with Ancestrals, get some Optusite, get some 8 out of 8 items, get the 2 Tempers on the normals, get a 12, get an 8 out of 12 Ancestral maybe even, if you find a weapon that's going to make it much easier for you to actually get and clear that pit tier 50. And then if you can actually do that, you are now in Torment 3. This is basically a rinse and repeat of what we did before. We are going to go into Nightmare Dungeons, start getting more Optusite, improve our gear that way with the master workings. Maybe you find more Ancestrals. If you don't have a weapon that is Ancestral yet, definitely make sure you are gambling for a weapon so you can actually get that huge power spike with the Ancestral weapon. And then it's basically just the same. You run Nightmare Dungeons, you upgrade your gear, you try and hit the correct crits on your items with the stats. Do not reset, as that's going to be a rather costly. Maybe if you really need a certain stat, like for example on the Minion Necromancer, where you need the skeletal mages to attack twice, for example, then I could get behind you actually doing that and retrying on this. But it's usually not that important, because the gear that you are currently wearing shouldn't be full Ancestral, and if it's not full Ancestral yet, you are also going to replace it as soon as you get into Torment 4. You can further beef up your character before going to Torment 4 by actually doing boss rotations at this point. There is probably also quite a lot of people in Torment 3 as well at this point. If you don't find that many, look at the party finder that is actually available to us now, so make sure you check that out. The boss rotations are going to be going at this point. The Torment 3 is going to be extremely efficient when it comes to the boss mats versus the loot that you are getting out of it. And yeah, if you don't find the Torment 3 boss rotas, Torment 2, maybe don't spend all of your materials on the Torment 2 bosses. Maybe you need a certain unique that is extremely build enabling. Definitely make sure to grab that, and then the way to Torment 4 is going to be much easier. At this point, all your glyphs should also be at least level 46, so you get that legendary glyph bonus, which is going to tremendously increase your character's power again, and latest then you can start making the push for Torment 4. And there you have it. You now actually entered Torment 4, and you basically completed almost the whole journey of the character. Now it's basically up to absolute min-maxing, but yeah, it's not really necessary at this point to continue playing the character. If you like the min-maxing part of it, sure, you can probably push some more pit, get the glyphs up to like level 70 or so, get that 12 out of 12 full ancestral character. But I really like to maybe switch the build at this point, or go to a completely different character. Of course, that's all up to you. If you want to see how I'm tackling the new Vessel of Hatred expansion in Season 6, I suggest you check out the Twitch. That is going to be linked down in the description below. We are actually going for a T4 hardcore Dark Citadel clear with Wodijo, Condis, and Panda Glassjaw. This is going to be extremely extremely interesting. I am very curious if we can make it out alive, if we can even kill it. And yeah, probably one of the most interesting things I get to do in Diablo 4. If you want to see if we make it, I suggest you join us live on Twitch. Again, the Twitch link is down in the description below. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.